Okay, welcome back to part four of our preparing for the Texas 268 exam. This is the last constructive response question on this exam. So this may be the last video dealing with this, or I may go and explore some of the multiple choice questions. All right, but right now, let's get into this constructive response question number four of the Texas 268 exam, principal as an instructional leader. Okay. So as I said before, I focused on the constructive response questions because I figured that would be my possibly my weakest area because you have to know what the graders are looking for, what kind of a format they want you to have your answers in. So that's what I focused on. So my last question, and I looked at the questions and then I kind of created these graphic organizers. But the last question, number three and number four, they don't really require graphic organizers, but I still do because I like graphic organizers. So on number four, this is one of the practice exam questions for number four. I said before, I'm not really focusing on the scenario, the specifics of the scenario. I just want to focus on the questions. So it has here where it's asking you to, based on the information that's provided, what is the most pressing immediate need to address in this scenario? And you have to justify your answer. Then it wants you to describe a multi-step plan that the principal needs to take to make sure to address this need. And then last but not least, you need to explain why this plan would be effective for creating a positive culture to achieve the school's mission. You have to be specific in your answer and you have to make sure you cite your evidence. So, and then it has some accompanying documents for you. It has this actually one, I think this one and the number one has the most documents that you can access. So it will provide you with a school attendance and discipline data. So you'll see what that looks like. And it's going to be 3 surveys, one from the faculty, one to the faculty, one to the parent, and one to the students. And then the last thing would be notes from the principal. Depending on the scenario, it may be a principal who is new to the school or maybe a principal who was rolling out a new initiative. The principal notes may be that principal notes or it could be the former principal's notes. You know, it doesn't really matter though. Okay. Now, the constructive response questions. Remember, I said I kind of use the science strategy of claim, evidence, reasoning. For every question that they ask, I state my claim, I cite my evidence from the documents that are provided, and then normally the last question is dealing with kind of putting all of the reason, the claims and the evidence together and presenting a rationale. Okay, so this is it talks. You saw the word culture a lot, so obviously this is dealing with domain one. Now, the way I think of it though is it is a question that requires a principal to overcome an obstacle that's in the way as they attempt to roll out some new initiative. And the new initiative could be something dealing with, dealing with cultures, or it could be something dealing with like maybe a academic program. It doesn't matter. I've seen different. This is the only question I've seen like various scenarios that kind of differ. They weren't all quite completely the same. But it doesn't matter. It's just how do you overcome an obstacle when you're trying to roll out a new initiative, okay? And that initiative, this thing that you're rolling out is supposed to build the culture. So what do you do? So my most pressing issue, regardless of the scenarios, has been, okay, hold on. Let me, before I put that up. One of the things that I have noticed that's consistently the same because you see teacher survey. Anytime you have a teacher survey, you're going to have a whole bunch of varying opinions from teachers. The teachers are very opinionated. And anytime you have a new initiative, of course, you're going to have a lot of resistance from teachers. That's the lifestyle. Sorry, I'm a teacher, so I know. I do that. So the knee-jerk reaction is going to be, when you look at that, is your present issue is like, oh, well, I need to get the teacher to buy in. But here is the thing. As I looked at all the examples that they had of the different responses, the scores, people who scored a 4, people who scored a 3, the 4s don't really focus on the ideologies and perceptions of the teacher necessarily. If they mention anything about academics, they focus on the academic data. So you need to remember when you're thinking about the most pressing issue, it always falls back on student performance, student success. Okay. So for one of these practice questions specifically that didn't have, if it's not something that deals with academics at all, you don't have to do that. But the most of the questions, because I think the test question that I actually had was also one that had academic data in there also. If they're weak, if the students are performing weak in a certain area, and the initiative you're rolling out is like a reading program or some other program that the students have performed poorly in, then your most pressing issue is to improve instruction in that targeted area. I don't care about what the teachers are saying; it doesn't matter. If they are weak in reading for third grade or whatever the scenario is, you need to roll out the plan because there's justification in it, because the data is showing that they have performed weekend it for this amount of years if they have years. So pull the quantitative data that indicates a significant deficit, and you use that in your response. Now, if it's not something that's dealing with instruction, that it doesn't have any academic data in there, and it's just a cultural thing, then you can say the most important pressing issue would be to promote buy-in via like relaunching the program. But at the end of the day, we are educators, and regardless of people's opinions of stuff, if the students are performing poorly in a certain area, you have to focus in that area. You need to roll out something. Your initiative needs to be in that specific targeted area. Okay. So you need your first response, your first most pressing issue should be basically student driven. Okay. Now, multi-step plan, regardless of which one is your pressing issue, your plan needs to have about 3 steps. It's a relaunch. You're going to relaunch it by establish a vision and relaunch it to the campus. And you share that data in your relaunch because the data drives the why. And then your next thing you want to do is you need to, anything that you have to make sure you have a clear vision, clear mission, clear benchmarks, checkpoints and stuff, all that. So relaunch that, launch or relaunch. Because there's been some scenarios where they rolled out the program the previous year, but it didn't take. And now you're as a new principal coming in, and now you have to basically continue with the program. So you may have to relaunch it. Okay. So the second step of this multi-step process always deals with training, because you can't just roll out a new initiative and just tell the teachers what they need to do. You also have to be able to plan to allow the teachers time to develop themselves in that particular program or initiative or whatever. So you have to create a plan to ensure professional development. And you have to have coaches available, some kind of coaching plan that's going to get them to where they need to be, where they're comprehensive, they are competent in implementing the plan or the new initiative that has been rolled out. Okay. Remember, at the end of the day, ignore all the fodder, the noise, that white noise that the teachers are giving you sometimes, because at the end of the day, it's about the student performance. Okay. Last but not least, after you you launched this vision, mission, you had a calendar, you had deadlines, you have benchmarks, all that kind of stuff. You told them these are the PDs that's available, and these are the ongoing PDs that's going to be available to you, and you have these coaches who are going to be at your disposal. You have to track the progress. There has to be a way that you're tracking the progress of the teachers and of the school and of the program itself. And I didn't put this in here, but reflection has to occur. So as you track it and you gather data to see how you're progressing, you have to reflect upon it to determine if there are any tweaks and changes that need to be incorporated. And then you have to mentor those people who are needing help. So the coaches or whomever needs to provide extra support to those who are not making the cut or who are struggling with regards to this new program. Just 3 steps, really. And I mean, we've all been in education for a long time. A lot of times one of these steps has kind of been missed. More and more of these steps is missed. And that's why a lot of times the initiatives don't really come to fruition. Okay. So last but not least, it wants you to explain why this plan is effective and will build the culture within your campus. And basically, you were just saying that you're just explaining the why, the how, the when, and the who. This explanation is basically saying this is why you need it, this is how it's going to be, and you're ensuring that the plan is aligned to the campus mission and improvement plan. So you need to make sure that whatever, if they have a campus improvement plan in here, CIP in their data, then you need to cite those examples or cite that information from there. And you need to make sure that you keep focus, ensure that the campus keeps focus on student outcomes versus any of the staff ideologies. So in a nutshell, culture, number 4 is dealing with culture. It is the culture and how we do things on this campus. And it's going to give you a particular scenario, but it doesn't really matter what the scenario is if you have an initiative that you want to enact on your campus that is going to determine how this campus does business, what are the steps that you're going to take to get there? That's how I view this question. So, I hope that helped. This is the last constructive response question, number 4. So please, 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 please subscribe to my channel and leave some comments in and let me know what other help with respect to the 268 test that you would like to have. Okay. Good luck.